We have DDD support. Okay, we have DD Count Surveyor. Level 8 Dark Fiend Pendulum Effect Monster. Pendulum Scale 1. Pendulum Effect. Once per turn, if you Pendulum Summon a DDD monster, you can target 3 monsters your opponent controls with the same type or attribute as these other. Tribute 2 of those face-up monsters. If you do, the other gains attack equal to the attack of the tributed monsters had on the field. Okay. Now that seems very specific. I think that's just a bonus effect because not often are you going to be able to pendulum summon while your opponent has 3 monsters with the same type or attribute. Monster effect. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. You can discard 1 other DD monster, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add a DD monster with 0 attack or defense from your deck to your hand. Okay, yeah, that's what it's about, right? Like the pendulum effect is like a neat bonus that can come up like once in an entire tournament or something. But the monster effect is where it's at, right? Like you can just, it's just an extender that you can discard something for, special summon it, and then add. What is even like, you can search the Kepler, right? The searcher. Is there other good targets? Is there other like great 0/0 targets, or is it just mostly going to be Kepler? Because I don't know the stats of the DDDs by heart. Copernicus. Okay, that's also a solid card, right? Okay. Yeah, this seems good for consistency, right? More starters. I know that DDD was a deck that like sometimes even used to play Piri Rise map, which goes to show how desperately they want access to Kepler, right? So being able to play an actually good card for that doesn't require you to pay half your life points is good. And DD even has, depending on the version that people play nowadays, I am not up to date, but I know DD has even some good discards for this, right? Like you can put, what was it, Necro Slime or Swirl Slime in the graveyard if they're still being played. Don't quote me on that, but I know they have some monsters with graveyard effects. So there's even a potential here to use this as an extender that has a good discard, right? So that's good. And then we have DD Scale Surveyor, Pendulum Scale 9. You can only use the pendulum effect of this card name once per turn. During the standby phase, you can target up to 2 cards in the pendulum zone. Their pendulum scales become 0 until the end of this turn. 2 cards in the pendulum zone, their scales become 0. Okay. Oh, this can even mess up your opponent. I was like, why would I make both scales 0? But hypothetically, because it says during the standby phase, you could like, in like a, look, if you ever find yourself in a pendulum mirror match, God forbid, right? And your opponent has scales already set, you can like turn them both into 0s. I don't know. That seems very irrelevant. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. If you control a DD Pendulum monster card, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can make it level become 4. If this card is sent to the graveyard or added to the extra deck face up, you can target a DD Pendulum monster card you control, return it to the hand. Okay, so extender. This one does not seem too crazy to me. It's not a bad card by any means, but yeah, I don't know if this is like, this is far worse than the first one. I think it says up to, so you can also use it to special summon more. I understand it says up to, but it also, look, the most important part is not the fact that it says up to 2. The most important part is that it says during the standby phase. That makes this card basically unusable during your turn. Like in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, we ignore that sort of stuff because like what is like you're gonna scale it on turn 1 and then wait a turn for your next standby phase? Like that, this does not matter. The other effects are fine, but I wouldn't think this is too crazy. Maybe like a one-of if the deck really wants to search an extender for something. We have DD Extra Surveyor, level 5 Dark Fiend Pendulum, scale 4. You can only use the pendulum effect once per turn. If a face-up monster card your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a DDD monster you control, banish 2 cards from your pendulum zone, and if you do, that target can make a second attack during each battle phase. Monster effect, you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. You can discard this card, add 1 face-up DD pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. If this card becomes banished, you can banish cards from the top of your opponent's deck equal to the number of face-up pendulum monsters in their extra deck. Then you can make a DD monster you control game. These cards seem super random. Is it just me, or are these cards like... This is also it. This was the last one. This feels very odd to me. Manga cards? Okay. Because I think the last two cards are basically just very underwhelming for a support wave that's being printed in 2025. These don't see. Look, I'm not a DDD expert, okay? And I don't know exactly what the problems are that DDD is facing in nowadays format and what they would need exactly to be relevant again. But I can tell with like decent certainty that these last two cards are not solving any problems sufficiently. The first one is a good card, I think. The first one is a very good card because it's like an extender that you discard a card to add a 0/0. Like, it's good for consistency and it gives you extension. This seems like a proper 2025 support piece, right? For a strategy. This seems like the kind of card that every deck would like to have, right? Like just a flexible extender / starter that can search cards. Like, this is good. The other two, they feel off. I have no idea. Like, no idea what these are supposed to really accomplish. But I guess it might just be a little bit of an outdated wave of manga support here that we're looking at. Okay. There's finally more shark support. You all know I've been waiting desperately for this. And number S37 Spider Shark is the name. It's a rank 5 water sea serpent. 3 level 5 water monsters. You can also Xyz summon this card by using number 37 Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark you control as material. Transfer its materials to this card. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card. Then target a monster your opponent controls, banish it until their next standby phase, and if you do, any face-up monsters they currently control loses 1000 attack until the end of this turn. During the end phase, if this card's in your grave, because it was destroyed and sent there this turn after being Xyz summoned, you can special summon it. Now, I would say I know exactly what number 37 Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark is, if that wasn't a lie. So I'm checking what that is. 2 level 4 water monsters. When any player's monster declares an attack, you can detach a material from this card. All monsters your opponent currently controls without when this card is destroyed by battle or card. Yeah, you're not making this card. You're not making this card, and that means you're also not making this card. This makes Shark tier 0. You just don't understand it. The thing is, no, it does not make Shark tier 0, because what you are not understanding is that Sharks are already tier 0. So this will just further strengthen their position in the tier 0 metagame. Number S38, Titanic Galaxy. Okay, now this is something that you might actually play, because that is actually a playable card that you can put this on top of. You can also Xyz summon this card by using number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy you control as material. Gains 200 attack for each material it has. Once per turn, you can target up to 2 spell traps your opponent controls, attach them to this card as material. The targeted cards and their effects cannot be activated in response to this effect's activation. You can detach one material from this card. Until the end of this turn, this card's original attack becomes 1500. Also, it can attack directly. Okay. You could make a joke here saying that you're gonna turn your good Yu-Gi-Oh card into a worse Yu-Gi-Oh card, which is true. This card's effect is worse than the Titanic Galaxy's effect. So, you know, for the most part, it'd be better than to just leave your Titanic Galaxy on the board. But when you're going second and you're breaking a board, maybe you want to make a Zeus, or maybe you want to get rid of your opponent's spell trap cards to get rid of their follow-up. Like, it's the kind of card that it's not better than Titanic Galaxy, but it doesn't have to be better than Titanic Galaxy, because it's just an option in your extra deck. If your deck is playing Titanic Galaxy already, which some decks are, right? It's not the most popular card or anything, but like it's a playable card, you know, sometimes you play it. And if you play it, then you might want to consider this one, because it could be a good option, right? It could be the extra material for your Zeus. It could be a way to clear your opponent's follow-up, right? Like, for example, you play into Yubel, I don't know, and then you want to get rid of the opening of the Spirit Gates, or the Nightmare Pain, or both, or Kashira Birth, or Nightmare Throne, or all those kind of cards you just want to get rid of. You might just go like, okay, I'm gonna make number 38. I'll put this on top. I'll spill your spell traps. I'll attack, and I'll make a 4 material Zeus. And that's a solid play, right? So this is a playable card because the material for it is playable. Yeah, Voiceless Voice, right? Get rid of the barrier and the other one. Like, solid card. 6 material. I mean, yeah, if you attach the card, if you have targets to attach, you can even do more, right? That is actually very good then. Like if you can get, if you're going second, you can attack with your number 38, and then you can also use this to do the thing. Then you have like 6 materials. At that point, it becomes really, really good. As well as you can even, if your opponent has for some reason a really big monster that you can't attack into to make Zeus, you can even use the effect to attack direct. You lose 1 material, but you can't do it. We have Revelation of Hope, normal spell. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. Send a face-up level 8 dragon monster you control to the graveyard. Special summon a rank 8 dragon Xyz monster from your extra deck. This is not that good, because it also won't have materials. I don't know. I guess you can summon like number 38 and then put this on top, but like that's not worth, I think, the investment of this spell card. It seems rather niche. Hope doesn't really need to... I guess that's true, right? You don't need to detach to negate the spells. But yeah. Galaxy Journey, quick spell. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Special summon one of your banished light or dark monsters. If a face-up Xyz monster you control becomes banished while this card's in your grave, you can banish this card and target one of those monsters, special summon it. Sometimes it's hard for me to evaluate these cards because I'm just thinking like, this is not a bad Yu-Gi-Oh card, right? Like there's definitely times in Yu-Gi-Oh's history where this card would have been very, very strong and super nice card to be used, right? Right now, whenever I'm looking at spell cards, it's just 2024 Yu-Gi-Oh brain, right? But like I'm looking at these kind of cards, and whenever a card is just an extender and not a starter, does nothing on its own, I'm always like, can this be good enough? Right? Like, are we at a point in modern Yu-Gi-Oh where these kind of cards can even be considered good nowadays? No one plays Monster Reborn, for example, as you're mentioning right now, like that sort of stuff. Like no one is really playing that card. And I think like, yeah, because it's named Galaxy, maybe it's searchable. So maybe it could be a one-of in a Galaxy deck, but I don't think this will make me want to play a Galaxy deck, because at the end of the day, it is not like an overwhelmingly powerful card, I think. Okay, I think the highlight out of these is definitely the number S38. That card seems solid, in my opinion, because the Titanic Galaxy is already a good card. Zeus is already a really good card, and that's what this card plays into. So I think that's a solid concept. Set off on a new adventure with Fairy Tale Friends. We have Bat, the Forest Ninja, a level 3 light beast tuner effect monster. Is this also anime stuff? 800 attack, 800 defense. You can only special summon with the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. If there is a face-up card in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned and you have Fairy Tale Prologue, Journey's Dawn on the field or in your graveyard, you can add a light beast monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, I'm guessing that card, because I've never heard of it, is also in here somewhere. So, I mean, if you have this card on the field or in the grave, then you get a free search. Seems okay. Light beast, I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to search, but okay. Wonko, Noble Knight of the Forest. Okay, why are these cards like randomly part of other archetypes? I think it's kind of funny, but this is a ninja card and this is a noble knight out of all things. Okay, level 4 light beast effect monster. You can only use the first effect once per turn. If this card is normal or special, you can add a Fairy Tale Prologue Journey's Dawn from your deck to your hand, or if you have Fairy Tale Prologue Journey's Dawn on the field or in the graveyard, you can draw a card instead. Ooh, that's nice that it gives you the option to draw if you already have the thing that you're searching. Because that's the most annoying thing with searcher cards, is like if you already have the target in hand, then you're going to be annoyed if you draw the searcher. So that's nice. Your opponent's monster cannot target monsters for attacks while there's a card in the field spell zone. Except this one. Oh, they can only attack this. Okay. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can make the monster that destroyed it lose 500 attack. Okay, this effect is irrelevant. This effect is very niche. The first one is nice, I guess. Fairy Tale Prologue Journey's Dawn. There we go. That is the field spell. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. All battle damage either player takes is half. If you control a light beast monster or a level 7 or 8 dragon synchro monster, you can draw a card. Oh. Once per turn during your standby phase, you can send this card from the field zone to the graveyard. Place a field spell from your hand or deck face up in your field zone except Prologue, Journey's Dawn. Okay. This feels like, I mean, because this is already it. It feels like a small package of like somewhat generic field spell support that just like tries to create maybe 1 or 2 free bodies and a free draw, right? Because like, you know, Noble Knight of the Forest, search the field spell, draw a card, Ancient Fairy Dragon support. A little bit, right? Because this is a level 3 tuner, level 4 non-tuner. Yeah, I guess if you can like pull it off, I mean, it's all 2-card combos, right? Like, but imagine, for example, you have Fairy Tale and the bat in hand. Like if you activate the Fairy Tale field spell, you special summon the bat, you search the Wonko, you normal summon the Wonko, and then you draw a card because you already have the field spell. Then you can also use this effect to draw a card. So you've drawn 2 cards, and then you have a level 7 synchro that you can pop the field spell with if you go Ancient Fairy to search a different field spell from your deck. So you're like creating a couple of cards in your hand. This is broken with Runic. I don't know if it's broken with Runic. I'm not gonna lie. Do you know what the problem of these cards is? The problem with these cards, and I can tell you precisely what the problem is. The problem is they don't work alone. They don't work alone. Like, you can special summon this card if you have a field spell, but you don't get to search unless you have the Fairy Tale card already. If you don't draw the Fairy Tale card, this card is very mediocre. And this card alone also doesn't really do anything because it's just a level 4 beast that on summon, it's just an upstart goblin, right? Like you're gonna summon this, search the field spell, and then because you control this, you can draw a card. But that's it. That is very mediocre on the one card, right? Like you'd need multiple. You always need multiple of these cards for them to be good. And that's weird because there's only 3 different ones, right? There's only 3 different cards, so you can't play enough to see multiples of it consistent. Hyperia was playable, yeah, but Hyperia also did not include any bricks in your deck, right? Like the field spell alone does nothing. That's even like, that's the worst part, right? Like the Wonko at least does something. The bat is at least the tuner / an extender if you have a different field spell. The field spell literally does nothing on its own. It adds Foxy Tune. I mean, I'm sure there's some funny light beasts you can add, because light beast I don't think is the rarest combination. There's probably some cool targets for it, but like you're not gonna do that. There's way easier ways to find light beast monsters. I don't know. I think these cards are cool in a way because they're not too broken, and they do make you think a little bit of like, hey, what can I do with those? Ultimately, I think it's going to end up slightly too weak, but they are kind of cool. What do you mean it does nothing? You can draw a card with the field spell? No, if you only have the field spell, you won't be able to draw with it. You have to actually make something else happen before this card can be an upstart goblin. It's like alone, this card is like a very situational and weak chicken game. Freeze the world with the new Ice Spellcaster support. We have Ice Doll, level 2 water spellcaster. You can only use the first, second, and third effect once per turn each. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate any of this card's effect except water monster. You can discard one other water monster, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special, you can add a water spellcaster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add an Ice Doll mirror from your deck to your hand. Ooh, wait. This card could be something. What is good water spellcasters? Enchantress, right? Enchantress is a water spellcaster, isn't it? The new Necros monsters. It searches Blue Boy. Ice barriers. Can't make an adventure token though. Why not? You can just special summon it. You'd have to play like adventure in a lot of... Oh wait, no, you can't summon Griffin though. Ah, but you can summon... Nah, you can't summon the token. Yeah, that's garbage. It's garbage in adventure. Yeah, I was tripping. Okay, so this card I think is good. like in a vacuum, right? Like in a world where there is a deck that can play a lot of water monsters that works under the water lock quite well, like I don't know, Ice Barrier maybe. That has a good amount of discards for this and also a good search target, then this card is pretty good. Now also what does Ice Doll Mirror do? Because that's another thing. Like if this, I've been treating this as like a complete bonus. If this is even a good card, then you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Send a water monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Special summon a monster from your hand or deck with the same name as a water monster you control. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, except water monsters. You can banish this card from your grave, add an Ice Doll from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Special summon a monster from hand or deck with the same name as a water monster you control after you send the water from hand or field to the grave. It's not a terrible card, but it will be, in any deck that plays this card, this will be a terrible draw, right? Like no questions asked, because it's very hard to make this card work. Like sometimes it could be an extender if you're already on step 6 of your combo or something. And then we have Twin Pillars of Ice. Quick play spell. Only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Special summon 2 Ice Pillar tokens in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of... Okay. Banish this card from your grave. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a water monster. Okay, so is this just Monarch support? Is this just basically Monarch support, but nothing else? And even in Monarchs, there's not even a good water card you play to extra normal summon. Yeah, okay. I don't think this card is too great. This card is also not good. You would never play this card if it wasn't searchable for free. The Ice Doll, I think, seems kind of wonky, but I think it's actually a playable card if there is a good home for it, right? It's a good card if there's a home for it. I think we can agree on that. But at the same time, as like a water extender that you special summon by discarding another water monster, it does compete with something like Swap Frog, which is usually a better card. But I will say this this card does discard for cost, right? So for something like Mermail, it would activate, right? It would activate Mermail monsters if you discard them for cost. Now, I don't think Mermail needs this kind of card, just something worth noting. There is one more wave of support for Motor Kaiser. Level 5 Dark Machine, 2000 attack, 1400 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Dark Machine monster. Okay, but it's a level 5, so you have to like probably normal summon another monster, not itself. You can target a monster you control, destroy it, then you can special summon an engine token in attack position. Okay, this card is double summon in the year 2025. But it's even worse because it's double summon that only works for Dark Machines. I guess you don't lose the card though, because it stays revealed, like you reveal it in your hand, you don't have to activate it. But it's not a very good card, I don't think. 2/1 Repair Job. Normal spell card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name per turn and only once that turn. Banish a Dark Machine monster from your graveyard. Special summon a monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard that mentions engine token. Okay, so you can tutor this card out. What other cards make engine tokens? Oh, this thing. During your end phase, special summon an engine token. Once per turn, you can have this card gain 1000 attack. During the end phase, if the effect of this card was used, destroy this card. Okay, this card is terrible. If a face-up Dark Machine monster you control is sent to the grave while this card's in your grave, except by battle, you can banish this card, special summon an engine token. If a face-up Dark Machine you control is sent to the grave, except by battle... Okay. This card is not terrible, because it's like an emergency teleport that then later on will also give you a token for link climbing. The only problem is the deck that you have to play this in, right? Orchest Extender. I mean, but you don't want to banish your Dark Machines in Orchest from the graveyard, right? Like, you don't want to do that. Scrap Garage. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If a face-up machine monster you control is destroyed by battle or effect, target up to 3 Dark Machine monsters in your graveyard, special summon them, but change their attack def to 0. You can banish this card from your grave, then target a machine monster you control, destroy it. Aha. Today is a weird day in terms of the reveals that I'm looking at right now, because it just feels like there's a whole lot of nothing for the most part. Like there's some of this stuff I like want to think about and want to think how you can use it, and it's like kind of cool, but I'm also 99% sure that it's not going to be relevant because it's just not good enough. It's a lot of like, it feels like it's just pack filler after pack filler after pack filler, even though some of them are more interesting than others. Nothing is truly good. Like there was like, what was there, one good DDD card, and we've looked at like 15 or 20 cards now, and like